for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC 274 back on pay-per-view. 2 title fights this weekend. Oliveira versus Gaethje, of course. Thug Rose versus Esparza. Fairly deep card. A couple good fights on the prelims as well. Obviously, the main card is fairly stacked. A few fights I'm excited about on the prelims. Probably have a couple plays on the prelims for clients, but I will be going over the main card like usual here, guys. Free picks, leans, maybe tell you what to avoid. A little betting advice as well. Guys, please like this video. It does help me out a lot. Comment, share, do all that stuff. It is much appreciated. Instagram, System Capping. Guys, follow me over there. Follow me over at System Capping on Instagram. I give free picks in the stories, sports updates, betting news, weekly updates as well. Winning tickets you can find over there. Client comments as well. You can find on my Instagram profile over the years as well. Twitter, same thing. System Capping over there as well. Systemsportscapping.com is the website. How to become a client? Head over there. Start profiting long term in all sports. I handicap anywhere from 7 to 8 different sports. Free picks over there weekly as well. I have a free picks section there. Resume is over there as well if you want to check out the resume. Updated records as well after each bet. I update my record after each bet over there as well. Shout out to a client, a long-term client, Cody. 3-year client now. He's been with me for 3 years, yearly subscription. Do appreciate that a ton. Just wanted to give you a shout out that it is much appreciated. Last week recap. Let's check out last week's recap, guys. No profit last week. Got caught with Feely. Touchy-feely. Ruined the card last week for me. A fairly big upset, I would say. It is a big upset. Sure, there was a path. I did mention it also in the video. There was a path for Brito, and it was a first round, right? If Feely could avoid that first round fury from Brito, he wins the fight. Brito caught him. He caught him with a wild shot. And that stuff does happen, right? So definitely an upset there. It was a good spot for Feely to bounce back after a couple tough fights, but he didn't. He looked great in his return fight after that Bryce Mitchell loss. He looked great, had that no contest with the eye poke. And then in this fight, he just got caught. Nothing really you can say about that. It was a 2-fight parlay I was on. I did have Jocko in that parlay. Jocko dominated that fight as we expected. Small card overall. A huge win for Cheeto, guys. Huge win for Cheeto in the main event there. Happy for the guy. I am a Cheeto fan. I stayed off the fight. I did lean Font. I did think he would get it done. After the weight cut issues, though, I stayed off. I didn't have a bet on it. I did expect Font to have the more volume and work the jab and be better on his feet. He was, I think. It's just the damage. Cheeto's very durable, and he had the bigger shots. He had the higher, didn't obviously have the higher volume, but he had the more meaningful shots that provided the damage. And you saw Font's face. If you see Cheeto's last fights that he fought, minus Aldo, their faces are mashed up a lot. Cheeto just dangerous, all types of strikes, crazy kicks, knees. It comes from everywhere. I do think Font won the first round, definitely won the first round, but then he got caught, some big shots, and definitely showed a lot of heart, though, Font, in that fight, lasting all 5 rounds. I think his corner maybe wanted to stop it in the 4th, going into the 5th, but he looked good in the 5th, Font, and put up a fight. But Cheeto's just so durable, it's hard to hurt the guy. Very hard to hurt the guy, and I love to see who Cheeto gets next. It should be a top 5 guy. Weekly update. Let's get into the weekly update. Bear with me. Weekly update, let's get into it. UFC, 91-49 long term, guys. 65%. 91-49. That is very long term. Shorter term, 35-13 run, guys. 73% all fights, over 50 units in profit in the long-term profit market, and 65% best bets long term. PGA just under 70 units in prop market profit. That's long term as well. Nice winner with a T10 on Champ plus 425 last week, that which allowed us to profit in the prop market. 8 outrights the last 30 events in the PGA, and 66% best bets long term. MLB 14-3 start, guys, into MLB. Seeing the MLB very clearly, whether it's in a 2-team parlay piece or even -1.5. Had hit a few of those this year, or lower price plays, -120, 130, or even a plus money play as well. NBA 66% regular season. We had a great NBA regular season. 4-1 run after a slow start to the playoffs. We're around 500 in the NBA in the playoffs right now. NHL 66% regular season. Another great season in another sport. Lower volume, of course, in the NHL. I picked my spots there. 1-1 in the playoffs currently. NFL reminder, guys. NFL reminder. 1-0 actually last week in the draft. I did have one bet. It was Jordan Davis under 15.5. Eagles moved in front of Baltimore to steal him at 13. So we cashed that at a full unit play. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this card.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Here's some betting advice, guys. Some betting advice before we get into the main card. This week I'll be looking at live betting quickly for you guys. Live betting. It could be very profitable. Very profitable. It's something that I do. It's very hard for me to give out live betting plays, of course, or to my clients. But just some things to look for that I suggest when you're looking at the betting the live market. Mainly I notice if I see weather issues, weather changing, and I didn't catch it beforehand. Weather is something that I look at mainly, obviously, for NFL games or MLB. Obviously, no dome, but those are something that I look at. Definitely weather issues in game. Over and unders are something mainly that I look at, especially in baseball or NFL, any sport really. You can just tell by the speed of the game and how the game's going to go in the first half or first quarter, first period, wherever the sport is. So I do usually cash some over and unders, but also what's a good thing is looking at value and getting plus money when a team goes down, right? When a team goes down or even a fighter loses the first round. There's always good plus money. You can get some good plus money when teams go down or a fighter goes down in the first round. So that's how I use the market. I don't bet heavy in live market. It's rare that I bet heavy, but I'll throw some, smaller unit on live betting. I suggest that you don't go too heavy on live betting market. Let's just maybe, an under on a play if you think game's going quite slow. Sometimes I do a little heavier unit play on the unders. That's just my system that I use for live betting. But it can be very profitable, guys, and I suggest you guys start doing it. Let's get into the card. Let's get into this card, guys. Let's get into the card. Got to pull up some notes here. And we have obviously the two title fights, right? The two title fights are definitely very interesting, but they should be good fights too. They should be definitely good fights. And we're starting with Oliveira, -170 versus Justin Gaethje, +145. It should be a fun one, right? Most Gaethje fights are fun. Even Charles as of late. Great fights these two are in, and this should be no different, right? My favorite play, I'm just going to tell you off the bat right now, it's obviously very highly juiced, but this fight's not going the distance. If you guys don't care about the amount, or in this case, it's a -500. If you don't care about that, that's going to be the play here, because this fight is not going all 5 rounds. This fight is definitely not going all 5 rounds. When is Charles going to get the respect that he deserves? He's the champion. He's been on a crazy nice run. He's improved a ton. It just seems like he still doesn't get that respect. With a win here over Gaethje, I expect him to get it. We know Charles, how to win this fight for Charles, in my opinion. How is he going to win this fight? It's going to be get this fight to the ground and find a submission. Does he want to stand and bang with Gaethje? I say he shouldn't for a long period of time. We know Gaethje's path to victory is his power, his striking, his leg kicks, right? So standing and banging with Gaethje shouldn't be Oliveira's first path. Yes, Oliveira has improved in his stand-up. Definitely he's improved in his stand-up. He does have the power he showed against Chandler. He finished Chandler, right? Got that knockdown on the shot, and I think it was a TKO finish, and then, was it a sub? I think it might have been, but either way, Oliveira wants to get this fight to the ground, right? You see the Khabib path against Gaethje, right? Move forward, take a few shots, but then get him to the ground. And when Gaethje does those leg kicks and those shots, he leaves himself exposed for takedown. So I do think Charles can get this to the ground. Now, he's not like, Gaethje can wrestle, right? Charles is not known for wrestling or taking the fight down to the ground like a Khabib. But if he does get this down to the ground, he's going to be very dangerous because his BJJ is very high level, probably one of the best in the UFC. And Gaethje doesn't have as close as top BJJ as Charles Oliveira. So I do think that's a path there for Charles. I don't love minus 170. If I do bet the Charles side, it has to be within the distance. And even maybe look at a sub prop if I can get it over plus 200. It's not a fight that I bet as of yet. I'm leaning the Oliveira side on the outcome to finish this fight. But, Gaethje can win this fight too, right? You showed it last week. I'm not comparing Brito and Fili, guys. I'm not comparing that. But you've seen that one shot can end it, and Gaethje has that one power to end it. He could strike those legs and hurt those legs too. It's not something that I love. I don't love Charles Oliveira here, but I lean Charles Oliveira here, and it would have to be an outcome bet because I'm not going to bet it at minus 170. So, Oliveira to finish this fight at some point by submission, maybe TKO. But, I wouldn't be surprised if Gaethje wins this fight. Again, this is his second time here. He did recently. He did fail against Khabib. That's going to, put him up there as well. He has maybe the best trainer in the world. I think he is the best trainer in the world. Keep that in mind as well. Rose is on the card. If Rose does get it done, that's going to put a little extra boost or step into Gaethje's path. I wouldn't be surprised if he win. And there's some value there at plus 145. I get if you're betting it. I get it. This is probably not going to make my card, to be honest, guys. But I am going to stay with my Oliveira lean. I do think Oliveira gets done, but this fight's not going all 5, guys. That's my favorite play here. Obviously, it's a crazy price. I would even lean the under. You can get under 3 rounds, under 2.5 rounds. If you get that at plus money, I definitely would look that way. Thug Rose minus 220 versus Cookie Monster. They call her Cookie Monster, plus 180. My favorite female fighter is back, Thug Rose. Love everything about her. Rematch from years ago, right, where Sparza won, if you guys remember that. But it was a while ago. I don't look too much into that. Don't look a ton to that. Both girls are really different. Rose is probably a lot more different than Sparza. I do think the price is right here. I do think Thug Rose should be a 2-1 favorite. She should win this fight if she keeps it up on the feet for the most part of it. We know Cookie Monster is going to get her takedowns. It's going to happen. Okay? Thug Rose can be taken down, but she's improved a lot on her wrestling and her scrambling. If you see in the Wei Li fight, Wei Li did take her down 4 or 5 times, if I recall, but she was able to get up, able to scramble, and not lay down and, take that position. So I do like Thug Rose to win this fight. She is the much better striker, guys. Much better striker in this fight. And if she can avoid getting taken down a ton and being held there. She could get taken down, but if she gets up right away, it's not going to count. It's not going to be problematic for her if she can get up. So I think that this is a great live betting spot. We were just talking about live betting. This is a great live betting spot. Huge. Because you can see how the takedowns are going to go in the first round. Right? You can see how it's going to go right away. I can tell you one thing, that Thug Rose, that's all she does a ton of training in wrestling. She's improving her wrestling. Her offensive wrestling is actually very solid. But you can definitely tell she works on her takedown defense a ton, right? They probably have Gaethje trying to take her down, right? Why not? Why not? They train together. So Gaethje trying to take her down. Obviously, Gaethje can take her down. But if Gaethje's on top of you and Thug Rose are trying to scramble, Esparza is not crazy strong. She just has good fundamental wrestling. One of the better wrestlers in the division. But I think Thug Rose, this is 5 rounds. So being held down, I do give Rose also the advantage in the cardio department. So I think Thug Rose continues her reigns, continues the title run here. I like Thug Rose to win this fight. Don't love the 220. Probably will make a 2-fight parlay for me. Very tough to call an outcome here. Very tough. Could go all 5. Could go all 5 rounds. Thug Rose just picks her apart. I won't be betting an outcome here. It is 5 rounds, so I lean maybe a later stoppage, but I won't be betting an outcome here. I just think Thug Rose gets it done and keeps that title. Chandler minus 400. Yikes. Versus Tony Ferguson plus 310. Yes, Tony Ferguson is back. When you see the name Tony Ferguson, then you look at this price. Some casuals may think this is a crazy. However, I don't. Minus 400, I won't be on this fight. I'm telling you right now, guys, just because of the price and the outcome is very difficult to predict. The only way Tony can win this fight, this is my opinion, is catching him in a sub. It's possible. If Chandler decides to wrestle, gets to the ground, Tony could catch him in a sub. It's not crazy. It's not crazy to think that Tony Ferguson submits Chandler. But if they fought, 10 times, Chandler wins 8 or 9 times, guys. Let's be realistic. Ferguson just doesn't have the volume, doesn't have the power to hurt Chandler. He could catch him with a wild elbow or knee, maybe. But we showed Chandler's durability against Gaethje. If he can handle Gaethje's shots, Ferguson's not coming up with any power. We've seen him out. He looked at as a late, guys. He's washed. He's done. There's not much that I see left out of him unless somehow he drastically changes over the past handful of fights. It's not something that I see, though. I don't see that happening. And it's telling you plus 310 for a reason, right? Plus 310 for a reason. You can't just go on name brand from Tony Ferguson from years past. Look at his last fights. He just hasn't looked good. And that's what it pans out to, right? All over Chandler here. I just can't bet minus 400. It's not going to make my cards, guys. I do think Chandler gets it done. And it's going to be a late finish or decision win. Ferguson just doesn't get finished, guys. Right? If he gets finished like the Gaethje fight, he's going to be standing and he gets finished, right? It would be a ref stoppage TKO. And, I can see that happening. Chandler holding him down, getting a TKO, very possible. I don't see a clear knockout on the feet. That's not going to happen. But I can see Chandler finishing him in a TKO fashion on the ground later in the fight. But I have no opinion here on the outcome. This fight will not make my card just due to Ferguson. You don't know. The durability is crazy durable. So it's just tough to call there on the outcome. So I cannot bet this fight due to that. Shogun is back. Plus 190 versus St. Peru. Minus 230. These guys fought before. I guess Shogun wanted a rematch to see what he still has. St. Peru KO'd him in the first round last time. They fought years ago, though. Years ago. Both guys fairly low volume. Nice reach advantage for St. Peru here. I could see him using that jab. Playing the distance game here. Will Shogun maybe try to get to some wrestling? I think he does have a slight wrestling advantage. The problem is, though, St. Peru's big boy. Big boy. He comes down from heavyweight. Remember, watch the weigh-ins on this one. This guy struggles to make 205. Struggles to make 205. So definitely watch the weigh-ins here. St. Peru coming off back-to-back losses up at the heavyweight division. Shogun Rua is not winning any fights either, right? Paul Craig finished him last time. Paul Craig, we see how good he is, though, as of late. So, Shogun also is not fighting a ton. St. Peru, last fights are in the heavyweight division. We don't know what's going to happen in this one, guys. St. Peru should win the fight. Should win the fight, right? Both guys are veterans, but, St. Peru, I think his weight class is 205. He should never been fighting at heavyweight. He just can't make weight, right? So if he makes weight and looks good on the scales, he wins this fight, in my opinion. It's just a lot of unknowns here. So we've got to wait for the weigh-ins on this one. But yeah, I lean St. Peru to get it done just at minus 230. It's crazy. I never bet St. Peru minus 230 on a ticket. That's wild. So yeah, watch the scales on this one. See how he looks. He struggles to make 205, guys. Cerrone. This is a fun one. Cerrone minus 175 versus Joe Lauzon plus 150. Talk about veterans, another veteran fight here. Both these guys should have fought before. I don't know why they haven't, but here we are. Fun one, open up the main card. Two guys who I think could be done after this fight. Probably not Cerrone. Remember, Lauzon, we haven't seen this guy for 2 years. You know my theory, not betting on guys that's off 2 years or longer. This comes into play here. I cannot bet Lauzon just because, you know, obviously there's value at plus 150, but he's been off for so long. I didn't think he's going to be back in the UFC, guys, but he had to be back apparently because of his contract. And then he said, yeah, give me Cerrone, perfect, I'll fight that. Why not fight a legend like that? And Cerrone's on the decline. He's shown, right? He doesn't want to fight for a while. 2019, Cerrone doesn't want to fight, but he's trying to fight some younger guys. It's not working out. This is more of his fighting style. I lean Cerrone here. If I had to bet it, minus 175, I won't be betting it because the price in the 2-year layoff as well with Lauzon. But, you know, he does have the BJJ advantage here. It's just, can he get it to the ground on Cerrone? I don't know, right? I don't know if he can get that to the ground. Cerrone does have the striking advantage. So if he can keep this on the feet, maybe work in some leg kicks. We've seen Joe Lauzon get knocked out a few times before. Cerrone definitely could win this fight. Very tough to call an outcome here. I would lean this fight gets stopped and doesn't make the judges. That probably would be my favorite bet here. You know, they want to get this this card going. You know, they want to make this exciting. Both guys will probably want to come forward and try to finish this fight at some point. So yeah, I lean Cerrone. It's not going to make my cards though, guys. I advise maybe to lay off it, just because there's a lot of unknowns here, right? Also Cerrone off a year, you never see that. He's always fighting, right? He likes to fight a ton and be active, but he wants to take some time off, clear his head, spend some time with the family at the farm or the ranch, and he could be back here and looking good. He's been doing some BJJ fights, but keeping active, I guess. But yeah, interesting one to open up the main card. Can't wait for this. That will do it, guys. That will do it for this card. Excited for this card. We got some good fights. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this pay-per-view card. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.